Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and welcome to the new video where I'm going to be going over the new set Silver Tempest and looking at how it can be used in GLC format. And if you don't know, GLC is single prizer, only one of every card, and also only one type. So keep that in mind for these cards. But the first card here we'll look at, I guess, is, oh, and sorry for the ads. The ads on PokeBeach, which is the site I'm looking at here, which is a really good site. They have lots of news and stuff. It has a lot of ads, so that's unfortunate. But the first card we're looking at here is Venomoth, which is, it's not that good. It's one grass, and it does 30, and on a coin flip you do any special condition, so you can paralyze, which is probably the best, but it's not that good. So it probably won't see play. And I think there might be a better Venomoth, but I'm not sure about that. And then we have this Sunflora here, which is actually really good. I believe it's a pre-release promo. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think so. And it says for 2 colors on a stage 1, so not too hard to pay. It does 10, but then you can discard up to 3 energy from your hand. It does 70 for each card discarded in this way. And I actually covered this in my overall set review for like standard of the set, and I said this card is quite solid. And in GLC, it's also going to be pretty good. One of the issues is that it doesn't have a lot of synergy with the main grass deck, which is it plays Venusaur and Rillaboom. However, there's a grass deck with what did it play? It plays Cherim and Eldegoss, a different one that gets lots of energy in its hand, so that could be really good with this deck, and I think that will be insane because you can hit so much damage. 220 should pretty much take out whatever you're worried about. So this is a good card. It's not like the best card because it won't make its way into probably a lot of the grass decks, but it's quite strong. And now we have this is Hisuian Lilligant, which for free, which is interesting having free attackers back. You accelerate up to 2 grass energy from your deck, attach them to your bench Pokemon. That's okay, but again, it doesn't have a lot of synergy with grass, but you could play it, so it's okay. This Amoonguss here now, it's really funky. You probably wouldn't play the basic because its attack's pretty bad, but whenever it's discarded by effects of your opponent's attacks, abilities, or items, or supporters, which is pretty much all the ways they can discard it from your hand, then your opponent discards their whole hand, or I guess you discard their hand. So both Amoongusses would result in both players losing their whole hands, which is kind of weird. But it's obviously really good if this happens because you can completely get rid of all your opponent's resources, assuming they don't have like an onboard draw engine like Bibarel or something that fills their hand back up. But it also makes them lose probably some of those cards permanently, and it's really bad if your opponent has this happen to them where they lose their whole hand. But then the issue is, how is this gonna like happen? And so the only way I can see it being good is against control, attack against control, where they have cards like Mars and Jesse and James, and I think there's some other things. Maybe does it Delinquent might be the card that like discard cards from your hand. And so then if you can get rid of this, and sometimes it's not your choice, so you don't exactly know what's going to happen, but that would be really good, discarding your opponent's whole hand, especially because control often has really big hands, and that can set you up in a really good spot, but they also might just be able to recover the cards they need. So it's probably not a great card, but it's really interesting to consider, and it could theoretically be quite nice. A lot of the cards in this set also revolve around mechanics that aren't in GLC, like multi-prize Pokemon and then multi-type Pokemon. So, yeah, this set's not like a GLC-centric set, but this Ninetales here is a bit interesting. For one colorless on stage 1, it puts your opponent to sleep, which is, it's okay. And then for Fire colorless, it does 120, and next turn it can attack. It's okay. There are a lot of really good Ninetales. I'm actually going to open up Limitless in the new tab. I'm going to look up some of the Ninetales, which I can't spell, but there. So there's this one that reduces retreat cost, and this one that gusts here. No, this one and this one. And they're pretty good. And this one that stops stadiums, and this one that also gusts. They're all decent. The big issue is obviously that you can't use these with this other Ninetales, so it probably won't see any play, and it doesn't do a ton of damage super efficiently. But it's not the worst. It's certainly okay, but mostly because of power creep. This Arcanine here, it has an attack that does 100 for 3, which is underwhelming, admittedly, but not horrible. And then it does 30 for 1 and accelerates a fire from your discard to it. So that's good, especially with a lot of ways of discarding fire energy. So that's nice. But again, there's another really good Arcanine, which is spell it. Yeah, there are two. There's this one that gets lots of health with the Burning Scarf. But then the really good one, which is here, it accelerates energy to your other Pokemon, does more damage, and just is overall really, really good. So, yeah, you probably won't play this Arcanine, but it's a consideration. It's not the worst. This Rapidash here, though, is super insane. Heat Boost, its ability, which is very similar to Volcanion EX. You discard a fire energy from your hand, or you can. And if you do, until the end of your turn, so essentially when you attack, your fire Pokemon do 30 more. So that's really good. It's not just basics either. Volcanion EX was just basics, but this is any fire Pokemon, which is all your Pokemon. So you're just doing 30 more damage for that turn, and you can do that a lot because there are tons of ways of getting fire energy into your hand, and also having it in the discard or getting it from the discard isn't too bad in fire decks. So this ability is insane because you can hit better damage numbers on all your Pokemon, and I think it probably belongs in every fire deck, if I had to guess. So this is one of the best cards coming out of the set for GLC, and honestly for Standard as well. And this is also a pre-release promo, I believe. So that's pretty cool. We got Victini here now, which is interesting. It does 20, and then you accelerate 2 fire from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like. Now this is like a Volcanion, which is let's see, it's like Power Heater Volcanion from Steam Siege. Oops, that's the other Volcanion, which is like Rapidash. But no, this Power Heater Volcanion is quite good because it has more health and can do more damage, but it doesn't see play because this other Volcanion's better. But having Victini fill the role of like a second Volcanion could be good. I don't think it has enough bulk to really make it worthwhile, but it's a consideration. It's not bad, but it's just not quite good enough, I don't think. This Fennekin's decent. It searches for a supporter, and there are a lot of Delphoxes that are really good, so Fennekin's cool. Let's see what else. We got Talonflame, which is really cool, but you can't really play it because you can't use colorless Pokemon, which is the basics, I believe, are all colorless. So unfortunately, you can't use that, even though it would be really cool. But now we're moving on to Incineroar, which is such a cool Pokemon, and one of my favorites from the set. And it has its attack, Secret Attack. It's not that secret, I guess. It's kind of a weird name. But choose an attack from one of your previous evolutions and use it as this attack. So one, you obviously don't want a rare candy, but you're not really rare candying in GLC anyway, so that's pretty cool. And then you can do your previous attacks. Notably, the Litten and Torracat here are quite good. So a Reprisal on Litten does 20 for each damage counter on this Pokemon, and you won't be getting one-shotted most of the time. So that's really insane. The other big thing, though, well, it can do 70, so you can copy that attack for just 1 energy. That's not bad. But then you can do Gritty Claws. During your next, it does 40, which is whatever. During your opponent's next turn, if this Pokemon has full HP, which it probably will the first time you get into play, and would be knocked out. So there's some decks that can just do massive damage. You can do this, and then you won't get KO'd. So that's insanely good, especially near the end of the game. Although there are some ways of getting through this, but I can't think of any of them off the top of my head. Usually there are ways that turn off abilities, but this is just an attack, so maybe there aren't many ways of getting through this. But essentially, if it would get KO'd, its health is now just 10, and obviously then you can use Reprisal, which will do 320, so that'll just KO them back. So you have this tankiness with Torracat, although only if they're doing massive damage to you, and then Reprisal, allowing you to just do really big damage to this Pokemon. And 170 health is really good. You can also do 180 for 2, and then discard energy. It's very similar to Empoleon from Unseen Depths, although debatably, the Unseen Depths theme deck from Cosmic Eclipse, the set, I believe. But it's really good. It just hits really hard, and I think it might be played in fire decks. The issue is the basic and stage 1 aren't particularly good, but who knows? Maybe I think this Pokemon deserves some play. Let's see. This Articuno here is really interesting. It does 70 for 2, which isn't great, but then 50 to itself, which is bad, but then your opponent's Pokemon is now paralyzed, and that can be really good because automatic paralysis is insane. You can get the energy on not too difficult, but then the big issue is that obviously you're damaging yourself, and that's bad, and you're not KOing them either. So, also there are some other really good Articunos, which I'm going to pull up. Yeah, so this one boosts damage, which is okay, but then this one makes you immune to Gust, and also it's just like it moves its energy, which is kind of cool. And this one takes extra prizes, so you can't play any of those other Articunos, which are really good. So I don't think this will see any play. But the automatic paralysis is quite interesting, and it could be very good, but probably won't be, especially with all the self damage. We got Warlord here now, which is really interesting. 200 health, which is honestly standard for Warlord, but it's still really insane that you can just live so easily, or so much, I guess. And then its ability says it takes 30 less from damage, so essentially 230 health, but really more than that, because you'll be you won't be getting one-shotted, so it'll have massive amount of health. And then you can also heal with Rough Seas, so I think this is insanely tanky. However, the attack's not quite as good. It's for water, colorless, and if it does 120, which is not great for 4 energy. If you have a special energy on, you hit 240, which is obviously, it's quite good. But the issue is how you're getting that energy on, and I'm not really sure. So this card's interesting, but it's a bit underwhelming in terms of its attack, but its bulk is really good. Also, again, comparing it to other Warlords, it's okay. There's this other Warlord which actually has less bulk, same amount of health but no ability. This other Warlord which has more health, but essentially with the ability it has less. So really this Warlord for bulk is absolutely insane, but in terms of its attack, it's underwhelming. So I don't know if it'll see play in water decks. The main water deck, I think, is the spread deck, which is kind of weird, and it probably won't make its way into that deck. Although it could make its way as a wall, but probably not. And it won't see play in that deck, but it could see play in the Energy Acceleration water deck. I don't remember what the ability is. I guess it's Deluge or Blastoise or something. Or Rain Dance might be what the deck's referred to as. But this other Warlord is often played that does better damage. However, it's still 4 energy, so this Warlord might be really good. I'm not exactly sure. There's this Milotic here, which does 50 snipe for 1 water, which is decent. It's not bad at all. And then 60 for 2 in sleep is decent. However, there are some really good Milotics. Let's see. There's this one that stops supporters like Marnie and stuff, but that's not that good. This healing one, which also isn't that good. Then you got some insane ones here. This is the one played in Kyogre, which is super important because it gets all your energy on Kyogre. And then there's this one with, from what sense that? I think it might be, I want to say Ancient Origins, but I don't think that's, Primal Clash, yeah. And that one's interesting because it can recover any card on play, so that's insane. But, yeah, you probably want one of these other Milotics, but 50 for 1 snipe, it's solid, but it's probably not good enough. 130 health as well. You see Power Creep just putting these mediocre Pokemon into good standings. Let's see, what else is good here? Fiona is a bit interesting. Keep in mind, there's a really good Fiona that's, I think it's, I'll just search Fiona. It's this one from Cosmic Eclipse that, pretty much what it does, it forces your opponent to Gust. So or forces your opponent to switch. So that's really good, but it doesn't see a ton of play. This Fiona here, though, searches for 3 basic water Pokemon for 1 water energy, which isn't too expensive. As a setup, it's fine. And then put them onto your bench. So it's a decent setup. It's not as good as Alolan Vulpix, which is like the main setup Pokemon, but it's pretty good, and it might see play. It's not bad, but people are leaning more away from these types of setup Pokemon, especially as engines get better and better. But this Fiona could be good, so I'm wondering if it'll see play. But again, sacrificing this other Fiona is a bit awkward, but not too bad, so we'll see. And so now we got Araquanid. I think it's not that good. On a coin flip, it does 20 paralysis and discards an energy attached to the defending Pokemon, which is decent disruption. I mean, it's very good disruption as with flipping heads there, but it's not an amazing Pokemon overall. Now we got, let's see. I guess this Rotom's okay. Shuffle draw 6 for 1 colorless, and then Lightning colorless do 80. That's okay. This Emolga here is really interesting. Free Retreat, which is pretty common on Emolga, and for 1 colorless, search your deck for an item card and put into your hand, which is really good. Obviously, getting any item. Admittedly, I guess it's quite good because you can obviously get Ball Search. Ball Search, and then you can also get stuff like Electro Power Switch. So it's pretty good. Don't think it's quite good enough though. Using that attack, which is relatively weak. Tempest here, the first of the Pokemon that are only good if you have no supporters in the discard. AKA they're bad because they're pretty awkward to use, and when I say awkward, I mean pretty much impossible because you need supporters in your deck. But we should talk about them anyway. This one for Lightning colorless. If you have no supporters in your discard, it does 100 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. You don't even discard, which is insane. But obviously the big issue is you can't have any supporters in your discard. And so you're never going to get this set up, unfortunately. And it's also the only Pokemon like this of Lightning type, so you don't really want this. Zero Aura here can do it Free Retreat, which is cool. 80 for 3, it's just whatever. But then 60 for 1 to an Evolution's okay. I personally wouldn't play it, though. Let's see. This Hypno here is absolutely insane for GLC. Psychedelic Call Search for 2 stage 1 Pokemon, or up to 2 stage 1 Pokemon, put them onto your bench and shuffle your deck for 1 Psychic on a stage 1. And this is really good because it allows you to set up a bit more consistently, and wasting a turn for this attack doesn't feel too bad in GLC because the games are relatively slow compared to a lot of other, to some other formats. But Hypno's really good because you're able to go ahead and set up your bench really well, and instead of getting the basics out, you're getting the attacker and the engine and stuff, so it's really good. Miss Magius here is also insane. There are a lot of really good psychic cards. Yeah, there are a bunch of really good psychic cards from this set. For GLC, this Miss Magius is no exception. Its ability, if this Pokemon is at max HP, which is 90, not amazingly high, but that's good. And if it's knocked out by your opponent's attack, which is pretty much, it's the only way you'll get knocked out, place 8 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. So that's a lot of damage counters. It's Mysterious Treasure times 2. It's only on the defending or the attacking Pokemon, but it's quite good because now you can it's just a lot of damage for the fact that you're just getting knocked out. And a card, wait, did I say Mysterious Treasure? It's a spell tag, which places, I think, 4 damage counters around on your opponent's side if you're KO'd. But for Psychic Spread, which is debatably the best way to play Psychic, this is really good. And also its attack is really nice. Ominous Singing, which is probably my singing causing damage, but place 2 damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon. And that's really good because it just adds up pretty quickly. If you attack, say, twice and then get KO'd, all of a sudden you've done probably 200 damage or something, which is just insane for only 1 energy on a stage 1. So I think this Pokemon is going to be really good in Psychic Spread. And can't wait to see how it's just going to do. Then we got this Curlia here, which is absolutely insane. This is probably might be the best card in the set across all formats, so it's really good. Its ability, Refine. I think I saw that translated differently somewhere else. It doesn't matter. You can discard 1, draw 2, and that's just really good. We've seen that on Chinchino and on Lightbard, I think is the dark one, and obviously Zoroark GX and Empoleon and stuff, but it's really good. And now Psychic has it, and Psychic's a good type, but it struggles with its engine. And now this will give it what it needs. And then there's the Gardevoir with the same ability, which you won't play because there's some other really good Gardevoirs and Gallades, which you can evolve into, which are also engine pieces. Yeah, so there's this Gardevoir. This is the fancy art, which I didn't mean to pull up. But essentially, it draws 2, no need to discard, and you can accelerate, which is it's good. Or you can go in with the Glade. This one from Astral Radiance, which is absolutely insane. Search for a supporter every turn. Really good. Also, both the Gardevoir and Glade have very nice attacks. There's this Glade as well, which is okay. This one's okay, I guess. You can't use this one, although it would be really good, but it's the wrong type. But pretty much it's insane because you can have this engine on a stage 1, which you didn't really have before. I think it was the Musharna was the... what set was this Musharna? I don't know. I haven't played with it before. But this Musharna from Next Destinies, yeah, which drew 1. It's pretty bad. And the other one goes on top of your deck. So pretty much you're just like drawing the same card. It's kind of bad, but it's not the worst. But this Curly is so much better. The discard synergy is also really nice. You can use it with, I don't think Gengar sees play, but you can use it with Giratina to discard that, as well as energies, which sometimes you want to discard. And so the discard synergy is pretty nice there. Sometimes you want, you can't really afford to discard cards, but in this deck you certainly can, and it's nice. And then you can evolve into one of the Gardevoirs or Glades, which are really good, even better than Curlier in terms of an engine. The final form isn't any better with this new set. The intermediate form, which will be around for a lot of turns before you get up to stage 2, is very good. So this card is absolutely insane, and will honestly make Psychic such a better type. Like Dark was really good, and then the trait ability on Light Ride, which is the same as this, came out, and then Dark was way better. And it's just insane that this new engine card's coming out, and it's going to make Psychic really good. Now, we got another Psychic Pokemon, Medicham, with its ability Open Chakra or something. If you have 4 cards in hand, this Pokemon pretty much attacks for free. And it does 80. It's meant to do more to a VMAX, but you can't do that. But it does 80 to your opponent's Pokemon for free if you have 4 cards in hand. So the question is, can you get 4 cards in hand, but 80 for free and 120 health? That's pretty good. So this Medicham's nice. Is it like amazing? I'm not no, but it's okay. And it's certainly consideration being able to attack for free and then putting your energy on other places. So it's potentially really good, but I'm not sure if it'll perform. And 80 is not enough in the late game, really, so not sure if it'll be enough. Let's see. Oh, Chimecho. If they attach an energy next turn to their defending Pokemon, they go to sleep, so essentially they can't attack. The issue is if they evolve, they can attack, so it's not that good. But it's an interesting card, but probably won't see any play. It's not that good. And then there's this... oh, yeah, so I forgot how many good Psychic Pokemon there are in this set. This is insane. But there's this Reuniclus, and I want to check... oh, yeah, there's a good Reuniclus, which... and now you can't play, that moves damage around on your side of the field from the original Black and White set. But this Reuniclus is really good. This other one only had 90 on a stage 2 as well, which is pretty trash. But this new one has 120. If it's knocked out, put it into your hand instead of your discard, which is always nice, so you can recover it. But then the big thing is, if it's it does for 2 colors 60, and then choose 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon, put 30 damage on each of them. So really nice spread for the Psychic spread deck, and could be really good theoretically. It's not insane. I'd argue it's not really close to the level of Mismagius or Mismagius, but it's still good because it does nice spread, decent bulk, so solid card. And then you also have this Behemoth, another spread Pokemon, just does 60 snipe for double colorless on a stage 1, which is very decent, especially if you get that up turn 2. You can wreck your opponent's board state, kind of like how you can do with stuff like Empoleon or other snipe Pokemon. So this Behemoth could be really good, mostly just during the early game, but it doesn't even necessarily have to be in Psychic spread. Although there's another, wait, is it Behemoth? Yeah. No, is it? Yeah. Okay. This is one from Unified Minds, which is really good because it item locks your opponent, but it does go back into the deck, so it's a bit awkward. Let's see. Oh, this Behemoth's really good. It does 20 to each as well, which might see some play. And yeah, so there's some good Behemoth, so this might struggle to be the best Behemoth, but in Psychic Spread, it could see play in it. It's pretty cool. This Meowstic here is kind of interesting. When you evolve it, you search for 2 supporters, which is kind of interesting. The big issue is that, like, you don't really need 2 supporters, but it could be good depending how you are able to go ahead and use those supporters across the next turns. Also, you can get like as many supporters as you want with Gallades, so it might not be that useful. But if you're playing guard for it, it could be good. So, interesting card. Feeling a bit sick. Sorry about that. Let's see. This Indeedee here, really good. You can use this turn 1 going first as well. Search your deck for any card and put it into your hand from 1 colorless. This is insane because you can set up like exactly how you need on the early turns of the game. So I think this will probably find its way into a lot of Psychic decks as like a really good setup Pokemon. Dragapult's bad. So that's it for Psychic, but that's a ton of Psychic. Psychic's getting so good in this new set, so you might want to watch out for that. This is Donphan here. It's kind of funny. 110. If it evolved this turn, it doesn't do anything. So that's probably directly worse than the other Donphan, but it doesn't have to damage your bench, but you probably want to damage your bench with the fighting decks, so yeah, it's pretty trash. It's like a direct demote, which is kind of amusing, but whatever. This Claydol here, which is ability Mystery Charge, which is kind of a weird name. So if you have no supporter cards in your discard pile, you may attach a fighting energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. Obviously, the issue of doppling supporters is really bad, but it's an interesting card, and it might be a decent energy accelerator, but obviously no supporters probably invalidates it completely, which is unfortunate. But yeah, that's the state it's in. I'm going to skip to this Stonejourner, which does 60 for 3 fighting colorless, but if you have no supporters in your discard pile, it does 190, so that's obviously a lot and a really good amount, and 130 health is quite good, but the no supporters thing, again, kind of bad. But you have these multiple fighting Pokemon with that, so not the worst. Terrakion here, it does 130 for fighting colorless, which is decent, but then prevent all damage done to this Pokemon next turn. But then it can't use Cavern Tackle multiple turns in a row. So that's a bit of an issue, not being able to stream it. Obviously, if you could stream it, you'd just be invincible. But with a big retreat cost, and you'll need like a lot of switch cards to make this card work. But it's theoretically quite good. Now, there are some other really good Terrakions as well. So I'm going to pull those up. This one is an okay one. Vivid Voltage. This one from Unified Minds is really good for the bench damage stuff. And this one, where's the original? From I think Noble Victories is really good. Oh wow, this art is so cool. But anyways, it's an okay attack. It does a 90 revenge attack, which is okay. Fallen off a bit because of power creep, but whatever. It's tough competition for Terrakion, but it could be really good being immune and doing solid. Oh wait, it's the wrong amount of damage as well. It does 120. This says 130 here, but yeah, it's still really good. So it could see play. Might not. Now it's Palossand here, a really interesting fighting spread Pokemon. Does 30 to each of your opponent's Pokemon. For 1 fighting on stage 1, which is a really nice spread. The question is, 1, there's a lot of bench barrier, and 2, it doesn't really synergize with other fighting Pokemon. But it's an interesting card and could see play, and 120 for 3 on a stage 1 isn't bad either, so this Palossand might see play and might be really good. Now moving on to Dark, there's this really interesting Crobat here. For 3 colors on a stage 1, it does 30 to one of your opponent's Pokemon, which is trash. But if you take a KO with this, take 2 more prize cards. So that's absolutely insane. And there are a few ways of doing spread with Dark Pokemon that are kind of interesting. But you kind of need to build your deck as a Dark spread deck, which is kind of weird. But this is theoretically super insane. And also 50 for 1 and poison on a stage 2 isn't horrible. Not great, but it's okay. But then looking at some other Pokemon like Guzzlord from Cosmic Eclipse, this also takes more damage with a KO, so you can kind of build your deck around this extra KOs thing, or extra prizes thing, and just figure out ways to soften Pokemon up. So this Crobat could be really good if it's played in just the right way. Let's see, I think this Crocodile's bad, so don't do that. This does 130 for 1 on a stage 1 if the defending Pokemon's poisoned, which can be done with Glare and Weezing or Garbodor, or there might be some other Pokemon. It's okay. There's some Dark Poison decks floating around, although they're not too good. But the Dark Poison stuff's kind of interesting, and then you can just mess their opponents like that. So that's okay. Not the best, but not the worst either. Yeah, honestly, 130 on a stage 1 for 1 is insane, but I don't know if you'll ever really be able to pull this off. This card's actually better than I thought it was, though. So that's a decent card, and also 90 for a fight for Dark Colorless. It's pretty good. It's not that good, but it's not that bad either. This Metagross here, it says if you draw it as if you top deck it at like the beginning of your turn and your bench isn't full, put it on. You can put it onto your bench and then draw 3. So that's really interesting. The next attack is Meteor Mash 100. The next turn it does 100 more. So decent attack. 170 health gives a lot of tank as well. So that's cool. The issue is, can you draw it at the start of your turn? You need stuff like. Honestly, you probably can't. I was going to say Orangu. Obviously, you can't use that because it's colorless. But Metagross could be usable. Probably not. So, yeah, I'm going to say this card's not very good. Let's see, a lot of... Oh, so we got Klinklang here. When you play it to evolve one of your Pokemon, it does... you search your deck for up to 3 basic energy, attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like, which is insane. You can use it to attack with Klinklang itself, doing with 160 health and 130 damage. Really great stats there. Are good, not insane, but good. But then there's a big issue of it's a stage 2, and so that's not great. But aside from that, it's kind of good. This Cabalion's actually really interesting here, also an energy accelerator. For 2 colors on a basic, 30, and accelerates to 2 of your bench Pokemon. Basic energy, you search your deck first, so that could be really good. But then you also have an ability that says you do more damage to dark Pokemon, which is kind of funny. It's probably not very good, but it could be useful in a few matchups. Oh, only your basic Pokemon. You also have this Togedemaru, which is the start of the Pikachu line. If you haven't seen that, check out as I said before, my video of the overall set review, which might be linked down below, but I'll probably forget, so it probably isn't there. But then you can do 10 for 1 lightning, and then you flip a coin. If heads, your opponent doesn't take any prize cards from it, so you probably don't play that, especially with the lightning attack costs, but it's a funny card. Now we got this insane good Dragon Pokemon Dragonite. For Water, Lightning, Colorless. Colorless, you do 180, search your deck for 3 basic energy, and attach them to your Pokemon any way you like. So that's theoretically insane, because obviously you can just go ahead and set up a bunch of new attackers, you're one-shotting everything, and you have a lot of health too. So this Dragonite could be really good, but you're probably never setting it up. Excuse me, I'm feeling quite... not great right now. Okay, so there's some really good Dragonites, so they're probably better than it. Notably, so this one can take extra prizes, but isn't that great. This one, Item Locks, also isn't that great, but this one searches for supporters every turn, like the Glade, so that's really good. This one accelerates a bunch of energy, so also very good. And unfortunately, because there are all these different Dragonites that are really good, this new one probably won't see play. Theoretically could, though. Wait, how much? Oh, and that one is 120 for 3, which is pretty bad. But now there's also this Noivern here. And for Psychic Dark, it does 70, draw to 7 cards. It also knocks out Radiant Pokemon, but that's not very useful. But so Noivern's theoretically okay. Be able to draw for your tree is cool as well, but not the best, not the worst, though. Zygarde here It does 20 for one grass, and then accelerates a basic energy from your discard to one of your Pokemon, which bench Pokemon, which is okay. And also 70 for 2 on a basic, not bad. It's not the best basic, but probably won't see in Dragon, but it's not the worst either. Now, Smeargle here, you probably don't play because there are a few really good Smeargles, but for when colorless, look at the top 5 because your deck attacks any number of basic energy you find there to one of your Pokemon. So in the basic energy heavy colorless deck, which is okay, it's okay, it's good, I guess. But then there's the Smeargle, which does massive damage if you have different types of basic energy in your hand. So the Smeargle probably won't see any play due to that. The Spinda here, though, really interesting. Does 10 to each of your opponent's Pokemon, and your opponent's active is now confused. That's an insane attack, being able to just do this mediocre spread, but not too bad, and the confusion as well, so that disruption element. And it also has a 90 health, which is okay, and 2 costs of 2, but it's super interesting being able to go ahead and do that spread, so that's really interesting. There aren't, I think, many colorless spread decks, but the confusion also could be good. I wonder if this card could be good, and I think it is because of the disruption plus spread. This Altaria here is really interesting. For Magical Echo, it does, for 2 colorless, you move all damage from one of your bench Pokemon to one of your opponent's active, so that could be really good. If you're able to just have a tanky colorless Pokemon, send it back, and then move the damage over. And also, Altaria's Wind Blast 90 for 3 isn't too bad, especially with double colorless, twin, triple acceleration. It's very playable. I think, yeah, Low Putty is not very good. But then this Archeops here, it evolves from a fossil, specifically unidentified fossil, which is the same as the good Aerodactyl, which I don't feel like pulling up. But pretty much, you search for 2 special energy and attach them to one of your Pokemon. And that's insane because you also, playing that in the Porygon Z deck, you have all this special energy. And then you can go ahead and accelerate special energy from your deck and from your hand, and it's just really good. So Archeops could be good. The issue is it has stage 2 from a fossil, which is kind of bad. So probably, I don't know how good this will be. It's the same fossil as Aerodactyl as well, which is awkward, but you can use that fossil research lab or whatever it's called. So maybe this could be a good card. If you get into play 150 health, 120 for 3, but accelerates, it's quite good. But the issue is getting it into play. The Susu Braviary here is also a bit interesting. It does for free on stage 1, which is cool, but 3 damage counters on each opponent's Pokemon that has any damage counters on it. So we come back to the idea of that colorless spread with Spinda. So it could be good, obviously a very specific combo, but there might be some other color spread. And then 80 for 3 in Confusion isn't bad. I don't hate that, but not great. Now we got Brandon, a supporter here. You can only play it for if it's the last card in your hand, which is kind of bad, but it's not unusable. But it's a bit awkward, especially in GLC. But you draw a card for each bench Pokemon in play. So this is worse than Culver's, I'd say, because it draws less. It used to be the last card in your hand. You won't see duplicates, but it's not great. But it's okay. You can theoretically draw. You can draw up to 10 more, I guess, with Skyfield, but it's not that good because it's so situational. Candace here, and there are actually some Pokemon that are good if you play Candace. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Reveal, or when I say they're good if you play Candace, they do Candace. They do more damage and stuff. But obviously, you only have one Candace and one of those Pokemon, so you won't use it. But you can look at the top 7 cards of your deck, reveal any number of water Pokemon and water energy you find there, and put them into your hand. So that could be really good because it obviously allows you to get a bunch of cards that are good for you. But that's it. It's not consistent. And so it could be good in those Rain Dance style decks with Blastoise and Inteleon, but yeah, I don't know if it'll see play in them. It's obviously very inconsistent. A Capture Aroma, an interesting ball search type card. Pokemon search, flip a coin if head search for an evolution Pokemon, and obviously put it into your hand. If tail search for a basic Pokemon, put it into your hand. So this is weird. Obviously, it's not necessarily bad, but it's not consistent either. It's not. I don't know. It might be a card that you'd play as like an extra ball search. It's probably good. Like compare it to something like Ultra Ball. Obviously, you don't get exactly what you want, but you get to search. You don't discard, so no downside playing it. So this will probably see play. I'm just not 100% sure yet. Let's see. Emergency Jelly at the end of your turn. If the opponent has 30 HP or less, and gain damage, heal 120 from it. This is the same as a last chance potion. Let's see, yeah, from Celestial Storm. So, except you don't it heals after the fact. I don't know which is better, but none of them are that good. So probably won't see play. Furosode Girl. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon, put it onto your bench, which is obviously a relatively weak effect, an effect of like an item, but then you can switch that into the active. So this is good turn 1, so you can get your setup Pokemon in the active. But aside from that, it's bad. So this probably won't see any play, but it's not the worst Pokemon search that I've seen around. So who knows, maybe it could be good. Gym Trainer got a reprint. Okay, now we have Lance, though, a really good dragon supporter. Search for up to 3 dragon Pokemon, put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. And obviously that's really nice because then you can go ahead and grab any dragon Pokemon you want. So, or any 3 Pokemon essentially. It's the same as I think Winona, which is a really good colorless card. So this Lance could be really good. Dragon's admittedly one of the weaker types, but Lance could be really nice. We got Primordial Altar. Excuse me. Once during each player's turn, that player may look at the top card of the deck. They can discard that. So I don't exactly know where you'd want this. If you're looking at a deck where you want to discard quickly, it's okay. Or discard certain cards with certain weird synergy things that control the top card of your deck, it could be good. But aside from that, it's just kind of underwhelming. Professor Fenton. Search for 3 Pokemon that have Hisuian in their names. From the discard pile into your hand. Okay, not gonna lie, I haven't read this card really before. I've glanced at it, but I haven't read it. That's so weird. Like I don't even know what type would use this that has that many. Obviously, you can recover a line. So if there's a basic and a stage 1, say this Basculin and Basculegion, but yeah, I don't think this is very good. I guess Dark could use it. Not really though. We could with Sneasler and Overquill. Like Overkill. Yeah, I get it. But probably not. It's kind of weird. It's probably a bad card. And I think that's it. Oh no, Wallace. So draw 3. Your opponent can draw 1, and then you draw 1. If they did, that's kind of bad because it's just worse than Hop. Speaking of Hop, workers draw 3, and you discard a Stadium in play, which is a bit interesting. Obviously, a pretty weak effect. But discarding a Stadium in play can be good, and drawing 3 is not horrible. So, yeah, that's about it. And any cool arts here? Let's see. No, that Gape Tribe art's cool, I guess. But that's it. Oh, no, Trainer Gallery. Anything cool? Ooh, we got a Flaffy, so you can stick that in your Lightning decks with Elisa. You got, for all you Malamar fans out there, you can do that with Zerosic, kind of cool looking, but not for GLC. Don't do that. Droidajin, a very good dragon Pokemon. Or a decent, but quite a good dragon Pokemon. We got, I think these are all Pokemon V and VMAX. Raihan, that's a cool Raihan art. And yeah, cool Judge art as well. But oh yeah, here are the pre-release promos. So yeah, you got Archeops and Curlia. So Sunflora here, really looking kind of cool. Very good card. Rapidash, one of the best cards in the set for GLC. Curlier, one of the best cards in the set for GLC, and Archeops, a solid card as well. So yeah, what are your thoughts on GLC? Honestly, in general, I haven't played it a lot recently, but looking at it, it looks kind of fun just to analyze. So what are your thoughts on this new set? And comment down below what you think. As always, like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. And I'll see all of you in the next video.